Hello, this is round 5.1 of the Fide World Cup 2019 between Grischuk and Liren, and we're going to go over this game. It's an open Catalan. This is the latest round 5.1. They play again tomorrow the 24th. D4. Liren has black. Grischuk has white. Knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, d5, g3. Open Catalan. D takes, bishop g2, a6, planning to play maybe b5, bishop b7, castle, knight c6. I think that would be the case. If queen c2, then queen takes c4, you have b5. Knight c6, e3, rook to b8, getting out of the line of fire of the g2 bishop in some variations. And we have knight fd2, a standard book. What is the? Let's see. Let me see what else is in the book here. Or knight fd2 or queen e2 are the most popular continuations here. But we have knight f, e5, hitting the center, still standard book. Bishop takes c6, disrupting black's pawn formation, doubling pawns on the c file. B takes, then d takes e5. Knight g4, trying to recover the pawn on e5 eventually. Still standard book. Knight takes c4. Develop the bishop, hitting the knight on c4. And queen to e2. There's also a satisfactory line, knight bd2. Bishop b4 and b3. b3 supporting the c4 knight and also allowing preparing bishop to b2 for the bishop to develop on b2. After queen e2, let's see if the engine's fine. Yep, we have h5, a most aggressive move, planning to go to play h4 at some point. We have rook d1, hitting the queen. Queen moves in line with the bishop, protecting a6 also. And here we have what could be considered almost a blunder, queen f3. It's not exactly a blunder, I would say. It's an ambitious move. That's what I would call it. Queen f3. Now this move allows bishop to d5, which would give black a clear advantage, which Liren did not play. The continuation might be rook takes, c takes, queen takes, and then queen to f5, hitting f2. Then this would force white to play f3. He couldn't play queen d2, could he? Hold on. Knight. This move can't be good. No. Then h4. Then h4 with a tremendous attack. I mean, after they exchange pawns here, I mean the h file is open for the rook. It would be all kind of trouble. And white is still relatively undeveloped on the queen side. He has problems over here. He needs some pieces to defend the king side. Black has 3 pieces on the king side attacking. And white would be slightly underdeveloped for the defense. So queen to f3. Liren did not play bishop to d5, but he gave up the exchange here. c6 is being attacked. See, there's no other good way to defend it. He could play, but that would allow c5. Maybe that would allow queen check anyway. Let's see if here. No, you wouldn't. Computer just simply says kick the knight away with h3. Queen here, bishop d7. Is simply bishop here. Then it's computer suggests it's white that would give up the exchange. Rook takes, queen takes, king. Then kick the knight away. I like black here. Well, black's up the exchange. I don't. Yeah. Then knight would be kicked to h6. Then maybe here, but. And yeah, you have to develop though at some point. Maybe knight c3. It's a messy position. So we have this variation if he just advances the pawn to c5, if queen air check. But computer doesn't like. Computer simply says kick the knight first. There are different variations here. But he plays rook b6, giving up the exchange. Let's see. What would happen here if bishop takes? We'd have queen takes, and you can't intercede. You can't block here on d7, and that would force the king to move, and then yeah, bishop cannot take the knight. Then queen check, king back to e8. Eventually playing b3. But what would happen if we took? Let's see. Why can't we just take? I'll tell you the queen to c6. Oh, I'm sorry. King moves. Then maybe here. That would be good, huh? Then if we just took, then knight takes. It wouldn't be a big advantage. It wouldn't be as great an advantage of just playing queen check. And what would we have here? Queen to c5, king with queen to c6, and then b3. It's very interesting, though. I can't get this clicker to work. So we have king there. But why not just, let me see. Oops, I had the variation wrong. Hold it. It says check again, but that's it can't be. All right, then king here. Then b3. Because if bishop moves, I'm missing mate here. Oh, bishop a3 mate. Okay, that's what it is. I'm missing mate somewhere. So the threat is bishop here mate. That's the threat. That's what I missed. That's why b3. So bishop b4. b3. I'm sorry. Where am I? b3. With the threat of mate. That's why b3. Okay, I knew I missed something there. It's very interesting. So to get out of that, f5, then bishop check. Yeah, then we pick up the bishop. After bishop here check, king moves, king here, then queen takes with check. So the idea b3, bishop to a3 mate. Okay, but Ding plays rook b6, which is a very interesting move. Giving up the exchange. Then we have knight takes, b takes, h4. And then knight takes. And computer says we're all even. Then queen to f4. of course, threatening to take the knight. Knight g6, attacking the queen. Queen e4, bishop develops. Preparing castle, develops. Knight c3. Bishop f5, threatening the queen. Now queen to h1, and that's about the best move. That's a very interesting move. If queen g2, knight e5, f3, then bishop to h3. But we have queen h1, knight e5, f3, then bishop c2. But there was something else here. Yeah, bishop c5. I like this move. When I saw this position, I immediately chose bishop here. Bishop c5. Then computer says knight e2 for slight advantage to white. Because the knight is headed to f4. So instead of bishop c5, bishop c2 attacking the rook. Rook moves up, attacking the bishop. Bishop back to g6. Queen to g2, castles. Rook to d1. And white is in control right now. Rook to d1, white is up the exchange, and he has some pawns to. I mean, he could have maybe advanced some of these pawns. Well, he could play e4. Wouldn't play f4. Well, f4 would weaken g4 for the knight. The knight could come to g4 eventually. Queen f5. Rook f1. Now that was a variation. Let's see. If e4, they were looking at it on a website. I can't think of what it was here. Or maybe it was in this line here, e4. No. E4 is bad right now. F3. So we have to protect F3 first. Was it knight G4? Knight G pawn takes. Let's see. Rook to D1. Yeah, that was a very wild variation where black would give up a piece. Anyway, rook f1, queen e6, knight e2, knight d3. White has a bigger advantage now. King h2, rook to d8. Bishop c5 should have been the choice here. But instead, rook d8. White has a very big advantage now. Rook d1 would have held the advantage. Instead, e4 kind of throws away that huge advantage. And black finds e5, which is an excellent move. F5. Did I say e5? He found f5. Good move. E takes. Queen takes. Knight f4. White's advantage is starting to go down a little bit here. After f5, computer likes knight f4. Then knight f4, bishop takes, f takes, pawn, f takes, and rook d4. White would still hold an advantage. Black would have to prove the exchange. E takes, queen takes, knight f4. So we couldn't just, let's see, knight takes, bishop takes. Knight takes, bishop takes. Then bishop takes. H4. I mean, there are a lot of wild lines here. So yeah, he didn't take the knight. I may have taken the knight. Bishop to f7, which is that's the yeah. Well, instead of taking the knight, he wants to keep the knight on d3. Bishop f7, knight takes, rook takes. Yeah, that was a good choice though. That bishop f7, bishop f4, bishop takes h4. If he takes back, then queen takes f4 check. Rook a to d1. Contesting the d file. Rook takes, bishop f6, b3. And black has managed to equalize. It's pretty brilliant. g5. Bishop c7, attacking b6. Bishop d5. Is that the computer's? Yeah, bishop d5, ignoring that. Well, he's threatening bishop takes f3 or queen takes f3. Wow, why is this bad? Let's see. Oh, g4, right. Then he has g4 here. If rook f1. And we're still even. So bishop c7, bishop d5, queen e2, g4, which is very powerful. Queen to d3. They exchange. G takes f3 as a powerful f3 pawn, though he's down the exchange. He's up a pawn for the exchange. Liren did an excellent job in equalizing in this game. There goes the b6 pawn and bishop e5. Planning h4. Bishop d4. Then bishop e4. Attacking the rook. And they agree to a draw here. Liren did an excellent job in drawing this game. Great feel for the position. Have to be careful, I guess. If rook d1, we're still even. Rook d1, bishop takes, rook takes. Have to watch this f3 pawn. Or you can play f2 immediately. Then the rook is forced to d1. Okay, but if the bishop goes here, that loses. Bishop d5 would lose for black. We'll get the king. You're right. He'll be able to work the position. Instead, f2, which forces the rook back here, and bishop to d3. Next move, he'll queen, then king to g2, then queens. Then we exchange down, and it's 3 pawns. 3. And the king comes up, and we're all even. So yeah, f2 saves the game. So actually, it was the pawn that saved the game here. f2. Again, bishop d5 would have lost, because the king would have come to c2. The king would have come to f2, blocking the pawn, and then white would remain with that active rook, picking up the h5 pawn. Let's see what the standings are. So everyone drew today. All games were drawn. So we go to the next round and see what happens then. All right, let's wait until tomorrow and we'll see.